Hey everyone, Steve from Make Your Own Fun here, and in this video I just wanted to have a look at this cool controller. That was Pickles, the cat back there. Little shout out to Pickles, I'll cut that out. This Neo Geo Pad 2 for the PS2, but today I'll be playing it on Street Fighter V on the PS4 with the help of this Brook adapter. Now I've featured a Brook adapter in the past in my Hatsune Miku video. This is another one that goes from PS2 to PS4 or PS3. So just a quick look at the controller itself. Now this is actually based off the control pad for I think the Neo Geo CD, which originally has the standard for Neo Geo buttons, the A, B, C and D button. I'm not sure if they're laid out like that, but this was a version made by SNK specifically for the PlayStation that has all the PlayStation buttons. So you've got square, triangle, L1, X, circle, R1, L2 over here, R2 over here, select start, but it doesn't have R3 or L3. There's no analog sticks at all, so it's really just a D-pad. And the thing about this D-pad as well is that it's not your usual kind of membrane style buttons. It's actually a micro switched. I don't know if you can hear that. It is a micro switched kind of mini joystick. So I think there's 4 switches here for the main directions, and then if you go into one of the corners, you activate 2 switches at the same time. At the back we can see it's the Neo Geo Pad 2. We've got the serial number 5223 and these were made in Indonesia. I've got the box for it here as well. So I think this was only released in Japan. Back's all in Japanese, which I don't read, but I assume it just lets you know about it. You can see it's being marketed for the PlayStation 1 as well as the PS2. So I don't know when these were actually released, but I assume would be the really early 2000s. So that explains how kind of old and beat up this box is, but the wonders of stuff you can find on eBay. It came with a cable twist tie, but I just put a rubber band around it as I do with all my controllers. Standard PS2 plug, nothing really special about the plug itself. Nothing doesn't say SNK or Neo Geo anywhere. So it'll be simple enough to connect. I'll just connect it up to the Brook adapter. It's like so. There we are. And then I'll plug this into my PS4. So I'm here in Street Fighter V training mode. I was gonna go online with this controller, but there were a whole bunch of updates to apply, and I thought I might as well just try it in training mode and arcade mode, and you get the idea anyways. So I'm not sure if there's any lag due to the camera setup, but for the most part it feels pretty responsive, and it's nice and fun to kind of get some arcade stick style clicking going on, but with like the form factor of a controller. Light, medium and heavy, and light, medium and heavy. They're all here. You've got your 3 kicks and your 3 punches that I can do for my EXs. If I do it right. I just realized I probably do have to change the controls because L1 and R1 are mapped over here as opposed to just R1 and R2 for Street Fighter in particular. So I'll just do that now. There we are. I think all my buttons should be right now. Cool. EX moves easily up there. I'm holding this controller a bit weird just to be able to show this on the camera, but definitely feels a bit old school. It's got kind of that Sega Saturn kind of shape to it, and you've got the 6 buttons here like the Saturn. If you are used to the Neo Geo CD pad, then you have 2 extra buttons here, and I don't know if the buttons are actually smaller or larger, but this is obviously a PlayStation controller first, but just kind of with an homage to the Neo Geo controller. I also really like the design of the controller with the SNK and the Neo Geo there. I think it's cool to have that as well as the PlayStation logo down here. Lets you know that you're using a relatively special product built by SNK for the PlayStation, I guess, after they got out of the console market. Whoops. That was interesting. I'm trying to do a kind of like an up forward or a forward jump, and not just used to the angles that you kind of have to hit. But I'm sure I'll find it with a bit of practice, and also because I am holding the controller weirdly at a weird angle to my body. Kind of throws off my reference point there, but let's get into arcade mode. Just wanted to kind of give reference as well. I don't have very big hands, but the controller is kind of the size of, I guess, the base of my hand to these kind of knuckles here. So, it's really small, lightweight, kind of like a Super Nintendo controller, just really fits easily. You're really kind of retro gaming now, I suppose. For Street Fighter V, I've been pretty much maining Ken, but that's just because, again, as you may know from my other videos, I choose the easiest characters to use that I feel, and for me that's been Ken. You don't have to kind of press a lot to reach the direction switches, which is nice. It would have been nice if the buttons were clicky as well, but I can understand that it's kind of hard for such a small button to have that kind of travel. I think you wouldn't be able to do much with it, so they stuck with a normal membrane style under it. I don't think I'll be opening this controller up to have a closer look at it, but if it eventually becomes faulty, I will. And the buttons are nice and close together, so that if I have to do V triggers or the character skill, then, you know, all I have to do is just basically press my whole thumb down on the controller. I do like to use arcade sticks with this Brook adapter, and I'll probably do one for my next video, but I think this controller is a nice compromise between using your standard PS4 controller if you get a bit bored with it. I know that Hori has a nice kind of 6-button controller for fighting games. I don't know the actual manufacturer of this controller, or it just says SNK Playmore, but in terms of if that's their company or their factory or whatever, who knows. Apologies if the controller goes out of frame because I'm getting so into the game. One thing I will point out is that it seems like the select start buttons here, they're normal rubber that you would kind of find, like let's say the normal PS2 select and start buttons. They seem to attract a bit of dust, so I don't know if that really means anything, or maybe these are just wearing down with age. Who knows, but I think they're the kind of, I guess you would say, lowest quality part of this whole thing, but overall, it's pretty nice. The direction switches are pretty satisfying overall. Again, because they're kind of circular in nature, you have to get the feel of where you're going to be. You don't just have the 4 D-pad things to automatically know that this way is up, this way is down, and this way is a perfect diagonal. Totally with the super, but putting it in was very easy. Quarter circle back. It's really nice because you can. I'm basically pushing all the way down on the controller, just to kind of, you know, push it to its limits and not be kind of gentle about it. And it's working really nicely. Yeah, you know, you can kind of see my thumb twitching in a nice way. Like the pad of your thumb kind of really perfectly fits onto the controller here with a dimple and I guess the little dot which lets you know which way is up. I don't find myself using that dot as a reference too much because you can kind of figure out which ways your hand's oriented. These aren't necessarily the cheapest controllers to find because, you know, they are so old and they're not in production anymore. If you're a collector of controllers or you like Neo Geo memorabilia or paraphernalia, then it's probably worth hunting down overall because it is cool that Neo Geo made a controller for the PlayStation. But yeah, very nice feeling overall. Great for fighting games, and I'm playing Street Fighter instead of like King of Fighters or something like that because they use 6 buttons and King of Fighters uses 4. So, you know, it's kind of like that would have been a good game for the normal PlayStation controller. But I don't like the background here. It's very yellow. Like it's like the really stereotypical, how do I make this look like India kind of background, and they put just a yellow haze over everything. So that about does it for another video. So it's definitely a cool little controller for your old classic PS2. Just tried to get myself a cable mustache, but you know, with the help of adapters like the one made by Brook, we can use it on the PS4. Obviously you can also just adapt it to USB and kind of use it on your computer or anything like that. I think eventually in the future I will be using it on the PS2 normally. There's, you know, great King of Fighters on there. There's just a lot of nice games that'll be cool to kind of pay homage to this controller with by playing the Neo Geo games on PS2. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.